Let's do it. All right. Alex, can you please have a one-word bird-themed prompt, please?
Oh,
Seagulls.
Seagulls. All right, here we go. 3, 2.
Are they just like the pigeons of the sea?
Yes, they are. That's exactly right.
Do you know that pigeons are like now entirely human dependent? Like they can't survive just out in the wild?
They'll die off if humans didn't feed them.
I'm almost certain this is true, that like they literally only live in cities and stuff because they rely on like trash and us.
Well, they seem pretty ungrateful in this movie, but that's just what I saw. Hold on one second. But Baka, hey, welcome to the Overtalking Podcast with your hosts Ken and CJ. Say hi, CJ.
It's Bird Month.
Bird Month.
It's the end of the world.
That's right. Yeah, it's the end of the world. So, of course, we got to talk about birds all month long because it's June and...
It's no longer June. It's only referred to as Bird Month.
That's right. It's Bird Month. Yeah. So, obviously, we're going to kick it off with Alfred Hitchcock. We were calling him the cock earlier, but Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds.
Yeah, sorry for any role I may have had in tripping you up.
No, I do want to refer to him as the cock. He is the cock of the horror walk. But also, we got the cock of walk here. It's Alex Vasquez. Welcome back.
I got to say that is the first time that anybody has ever called me that. So
won't be the last.
Thank you.
Won't be the last, yeah. Thanks for coming back. Finally for Bird Month.
My pleasure.
Yes.
We know you've been waiting for this.
Been waiting for Bird
Been
Month.
writing in
we
every
all
day.
Have.
Yeah.
Been counting off the days. I had my big calendar on my wall, taking it down one day at a time. XX.
Our inbox was overflowing with requests for Bird Month. So
It's here.
You wrote, we listened, and here we are. Tweet.
Is this the beginning of Bird Month?
Kicking it off.
Kicking it off strong.
Where else are you going to start but with
The titular, the birds.
the birds?
That's right.
Yeah,
The titular
it's the
birds.
one.
Yeah. Stick around to the very end of the episode to hear what other bird movies we'll be covering. But
We've got the full
hint, one of
lineup.
them's The Crow, so we at least know that.
Yep.
But yeah, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be swooping right back in like a bird to talk about the birds on the Overtalking Podcast. How many bird puns can I fit into this?
I want 13 more.
Okay.
Good luck, Miss Jennings. Thank you.
Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Who are you? What are you? Where did you come from?
Tweet, and we're back on the Overtalking Podcast. Once again, by returning guest Alex Vasquez, and we're talking about the birds. Alex, we're going to put 30 seconds on the clock for you to describe for someone who's not yet seen the birds what it's all about. Caw.
Boy.
Ready, go.
All right, so Melanie Daniels, this kind of like Paris Hilton-esque socialite in the early 1960s, travels to this coastal California town just to kind of like weirdly prank a guy. More on that in a moment.
Stock.
But weirdly, the birds start acting weird in
10
this
seconds.
town. Slowly and terrifyingly, they begin attacking the humans.
5,
And that's
4,
it. And it just kind of keeps happening.
1. Time.
That's all there is to it, right?
And then
That's
it
the movie.
ends. Like, that really is it. Yeah.
2 hours of that.
Most of the movie is just Melanie Daniels just being a fucking weirdo.
Stalker.
I don't. Yeah, stalker. It's literal weird
Yes.
stalker. Went so far out of her way to play a prank on a lawyer who happened to know one of her previous exploits. Like, I don't know. It was really weird.
So I wanted to start with a question. Was this y'all's first time seeing the birds?
I was just about to ask that. Yes,
Yes.
it's my first time. Have you seen it before, Alex?
Yes, I have,
Okay.
and but I hadn't seen it in a really long time. I saw it in college. I actually took an Alfred Hitchcock course in college where we
Nice.
watched. I went back and looked. I think something in the neighborhood of like 30 at least of his
Cool.
movies.
That's awesome.
In mostly in chronological order, and I didn't remember having a particular affinity towards the birds. It is kind of like in that like later period of like his masterpieces or whatever, like his kind of like God mode run. I feel like that everybody thinks of when they think of the classic Hitchcocks, right? Like Vertigo, North by Northwest, Rear Window, Psycho. It's kind of like in that 60s, like after like he peaks really
And
hard with Psycho.
CJ, how many of those have you seen?
None.
Oh man, you should.
That's what I saw. You haven't even seen Psycho?
Nope.
Oh man.
Here's the thing, like those. I know that like you probably don't need to hear it, but like a lot of those movies do rock.
Yeah, they're very good.
They're better than this one?
Yeah, I do think a bunch of them are stronger, but what I was surprised by in this one was actually, I think on the second viewing that I think I appreciated it a lot more. I think we can get into that in a moment. But actually, one of the things I really liked about it is the Melanie Daniels character, who's just like such a strange protagonist who clearly, like the way it read to me was this was just a person, like an incredibly privileged person who just like didn't have anything better to do than to just like fuck with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she just truly like gets a bee in her bonnet about this guy because he like
Please,
kind of like dressed
a bird in her bonnet.
a bird in her bonnet, as it
Okay.
were. I left that sitting right there. So embarrassed. Let's run this back. I quit.
Start
Let's-
over.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, welcome to the Overtalking Podcast.
Sorry, I totally derailed you.
No, that's totally fine. So the inciting incident, right, is that he basically dresses her down in this pet shop, because he basically it's the way I see it is like somebody who like would run into somebody like a Kardashian or like a TikTok star or something like that in the present day, and being like, well, you have like no purpose in society, and all you do is kind of take up space and waste money.
Damn.
So I'm actually a very clever person, so let me just like take this opportunity to like kind of like embarrass you, because clearly this person doesn't get many opportunities in life to feel like, dressed down in any way. So that's the way that read to me in this watch. And then she's just like, I gotta get this guy now.
And then the next like half hour is just the lengths that just normal people will go to bend over backwards to help her prank this guy. Like,
Yeah,
from
but
this super small
I don't
town.
think they mean to that. Like I clearly don't think like they're, they don't understand that that's what she's
No, they
doing.
don't.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting, like how crazy friendly everyone was.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
Small
that was
town.
probably kind of the way it was back in the day.
Very small town, very
Just helping her
like-
do some real light B&E.
Want a boat? Here's a boat.
Yeah. I was like watching it being like, okay, if the roles were reversed, say it was a man tracking down this woman to break into her home, would we be cool with this? Like,
No, we wouldn't.
No.
And I think pointedly it's not.
Yeah.
Like Hitchcock was a really smart guy, and I think one of the things that I think he's become really well known for is like the kind of like the commentary on gender and sexuality that's always kind of hanging out under his movies. Hitchcock was a horny guy. He was a really, really horny guy, and he had a lot of weird opinions on women. And in fact, I invite you or anybody who listens to the podcast to actually like read up on specifically his relationship with Tippi Hedren, the lead of this movie. She starred in two of his movies, this and another one right afterwards named called Marnie. And she had a real bad time with him. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
But he had a history of, I think, being very demanding and manipulative with his female co-stars, because I think he was always interested in, I mean, beyond the, whatever, like the ethics of that, which we could talk about for hours, but I'm going to put that over there because I don't think it's that kind of podcast. He was very interested in like control and the way that control and manipulation happened specifically between men and women. So I think that was my very long-winded explanation of, I think he did know CJ, and he did it this way for a very specific reason.
Because it would not play well the other way around. Yeah,
did not expect that. And I'm glad that we have someone who took an Alfred Hitchcock class.
Dr. Drew Casper, I don't know if he's listening.
You know you are.
Shout out.
Shouts to Drew Casper. You kind of a blowhard, but you were smart.
No, the professor teaching a Hitchcock class?
But yeah, I remember being kind of underwhelmed by this one when I first watched it. It might have also been the tail end of a double feature that night. I remember at this part of the class, we would watch we would do lecture and then we would watch 2 movies in a row. And by the second movie, I was usually pretty tapped out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would imagine this would be a tough one to end a double feature on because, in my opinion, I thought the pacing was a bit slow.
A lot of shoe leather. A lot of just people walking around.
An hour and a half of exposition.
Yeah.
A lot of people walking around. But I don't know. This time I really appreciated just vibing with it. It kind of reminded me of, I got a lot of Jaws from this one this time around.
How so?
It's very that like that. I think a lot of it came from like the setting, the coastal town, the very small like tight knit community, and just the kind of vibes of being in that area, but also this like that kind of like creeping dread of just like there's something bad happening, like something's wrong, and everybody's just freaked out about it, and nobody can really do anything about it. It's less that like, let's go hunt the shark third act thing, or it's all that stuff leading up to it where like this mass hysteria like kind of like bubbles up as a result of like there's just something we can't control and it's freaking us out and we don't know what to do about it. We don't know why. In fact, we as an audience really never know why.
Nope.
No.
And that's the part that I think like really worked for me, where it's like I like that there are like breadcrumbs about like what the birds and their attacks like might represent or what it could imply, but it's like never, they have like the one bird expert in the back half who's just like, there's no way that could be happening. Why would that be happening? And then she witnesses it happening, and then you just see her basically like staring at the wall afterwards. She has like no explanation.
Yeah. That is one of my favorite parts of the movie too, is that we get no explanation, and the fact that it just ends, nothing resolved either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're left to just wonder, like, what could it be? The fact that she brought lovebirds to this bay for some reason?
Mm-hmm.
Could it be the fact that she's there at all? Like, so there's a ton of other things too that
are they just like, this bitch don't belong here?
Right.
This is where we need to say, believe women. She was saying that they were attacking and nobody believed her.
That's right.
God.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why I just remembered this, and I'm sorry. I feel like I'm about to step on what might be one of Ken's trivia questions.
I got a bunch, so it's all good.
I was going to talk about the Tippi Hedren thing. Did you have that on your...
Go for it. I don't know.
Tippi Hedren's daughter is Melanie Griffith, the actress, who her character's name is Melanie in this movie, which is kind of...
Okay.
That's kind of a fun little thing. And then, of course, Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson then gave birth to Dakota Johnson. So there's a little bit of a dynasty going on here.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's always the fun. That's almost how people know Tippi Hedren more these days, is like Dakota Johnson's grandma or Melanie Griffith's mom. Like,
okay,
yeah,
like a lot of families in Hollywood.
Right, right.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and then we're also treated to 1963's cutting edge special effects.
Yeah.
I read a little bit about that during trivia, that they couldn't use like whatever typical blue screen effects were, which I assume was just green screen.
Mm-hmm.
The wings would flap too fast and the blue would show through.
Yeah.
They had to use Do you know more about this? I'm not sure. I didn't get the full story, but it was like they had to use some sort of like mist or something instead.
It's like it was some weird like multiple exposure situation. I skimmed it. I'm not too familiar, but the only thing I know is that apparently like whatever they did, like through some sort of, because they didn't really have like the digital tools that we have. It's all like, it's all film exposure and like double exposures, triple exposures, et cetera, to like kind of put these things together. But whatever they did was like so delicate and like so like specific that like they couldn't duplicate it. Like other like films, other studios like tried to duplicate the method or like tried to like build a camera that could do it. I think like Disney tried to or something, and they just like couldn't. It was just like this weird like little fluke. And it looks of course it looks a little silly today.
Sure,
Which kind of leads me to my next question for you guys that I had was do you find bird attacks scary, period? Like, do you like what are your opinions on what are your thoughts on birds, take on birds, and were the bird attacks here effective in any way?
Yeah. CJ, I'll let you go first. I'm curious what your answer is.
I think the only part with the effects was when they come in through the chimney, like just being in a like you can. I think that one is the more obvious, where it's clearly like they're just swatting at nothing, and you can tell it's just like put on top of kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But that would be like you're trapped in a room with like 100 birds flying around. Even if they're not trying to attack you, I'd be like, Jesus Christ, what is happening?
Yeah,
that would be frightening. The school children running away, that wasn't too that was the kind of cheesy part where like. That was maybe more, I think when the whole like town sort of blows up, then it's more hectic and maybe a bit more scary and stuff. Mm-hmm. That was more effective.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think the most effective moments, aside from the chimney moment that CJ mentioned, which was like pretty scary just in terms of like
when they come out the chimney, like that moment when you see them go like through there, I was like, no, thank you.
Just because I was 100% not expecting that whatsoever, and that was pretty scary. But aside from that, I think the most effective bird moments are the ones where they're just ominously very
just like watching,
numerous and watching. Yeah. Like specifically the one that, or the first maybe one that I really noticed was when Melanie is outside the schoolhouse and
on the playground,
we see a bunch of crows gathering, and then it shows behind her, and they're all over the swing set.
And they were big. They're big too. Like I don't like that.
That really got me, and I was like, oh, that's pretty scary. She notices it too and freaks out. But yeah, anytime I think it just really built a lot of suspense, and I think that worked really well for me. Yeah, when they're flying around and they're swatting at them, especially outside, not the best, but I don't know. I found it overall effective.
I thought the ones that really like got under my skin is when they're inside and the birds and birds somehow get inside. Because then it's chaos, like CJ said, where it's like, I just don't want to be in a room where something like that is happening because the birds are going everywhere. Even if they're not trying to attack you, like they're probably going to hurt you just by virtue of them like going nuts and flying in every direction. I will go on the record and say birds, don't like them generally. I don't trust them. My sister-in-law had 2 conures not too long ago. They both died, but
what kind of a bird is a conure? I'm not familiar.
It's like they're like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. They're kind of colorful, not very big, but they squawk. I don't think they're really like talking birds, but they kind of have like kind of like a parrot, like a cockatoo or something. I don't know. But they're not very. I'm no expert, but
this is what people tune in for is the bird talk. So,
the bird, I'm sorry, any like birders, people like pulling their hair out while listening to this. But these 2 little conures that what I've understood is that like pet birds like bond very intensely with their owners. and then they're like mean little bastards to everybody else usually.
Ah.
So I'll always like the story I tell. The first bird had passed, and they had the second one, and they had this house in the Bay Area. Actually, they live in Oakland, with this like lofted bedroom, like the guest bedroom that we stayed in. And I remember I got up one morning, and they just let the bird like fly around the house. Bird shits everywhere. Like it's like, like goes and lands on your plate and tries to eat your food.
Jesus
like
Christ.
Yeah, I'm not a nice guy, but I got up one morning. I was like going to the bathroom, and I opened the door, and I just hear this ear shattering like squawk, and I just get dive bombed by this bird just right as I walk through the door at like 6:30 in the morning or something like that. And I just like let out this like scream that like wakes up the whole house. And I'm like, that bird's just messing with me. He did that shit on purpose.
Did it just like fly past you, or it tried to like bite you?
No, he came down from the ceiling rafters and just kind of like fluffed his wings down. Like, I don't think he was like actually trying to hurt me, but I do think that maybe he was trying to like freak me out, like mess with me, whatever.
Somehow.
Yeah. This is my room.
And so that's like that times 1,000 is what's happening to those people all the time during the birds. And I'm like, I don't like that. It's really bad.
That's why I think the bird like thing, like the bird scares kind of work for me, is because like birds are inherently chaotic, right? Like the flapping wings is just
kind of unknowable
all over the place. Yeah. And scary. I don't know.
They got little sharp things.
Yeah. They got little sharp bits all over them. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say when people kept like reaching for something, and as soon as they stuck their like hand out, they'd get like bit like 20 times in a matter of seconds. That was also pretty effective. Just imagining like, I just need to close this window and I keep trying to reach, and then I'm like pecked to death.
Yeah, and this thing's like tearing up my hand or whatever. Yeah, no, don't like any of those insert shots where it's just like a hand just like getting like jackhammered by a bird's beak. I'm like, I don't like that either.
Oh my God. Can we talk about maybe the best death of this movie, in my opinion, which is the eye gouged out guy?
Both eyes.
Holy cow. That was incredibly graphic and very scary.
I did not see that coming. I didn't think this movie would like take it to that much gore.
Boundary pushing for 1963 too. That was also what Hitchcock was known for. That was around the time that the production code, he was kind of pushing at the edge of what could be done. And of course there's the psycho shower scene, which I think was very, very influential for that too. But it was almost like that became like the thing. Every time there was a new Hitchcock movie, it's like, oh, what boundary is he going to push next? Like, where's he going to try to shock us with this next? Because that's almost what it became in the later part of his career. He, in some of the later movies, is when he started like there was like some of his first movies with like full nudity and like things like that. Like he was trying to find ways to kind of push against the production code that was kind of slowly falling apart at the time. And it's still effective. It's like and then just going into the guy's eyes.
Yeah.
Did you notice that there is no music in the movie? There's no score.
I did not notice that. No.
Because that'd almost be the kind of thing when you push into the guy's eyes that you would get some big like score hit, but it's dead silent. And it almost makes it worse. He decided, like, even with the opening titles, when they were showing, when you're seeing the opening titles, all you're hearing is like the wings fluttering and like the little like
bird noises.
Little bird noises, and that's really the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those bird noises for a second, because what the hell did they do to those bird noises? Because they sound almost like cats, or like
they took the
really
record and moved it faster and slower. That's all that is. Like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, no bird makes that noise. But what they're doing is just like altering the sound playback a little bit.
That's exactly right, CJ. They were electronically manipulated bird sounds. made to seem like more abrasive or otherworldly or whatever. And that was it. And it was like some big, like, that was another big, like, technological advancement that he was doing, was like working with these like kind of like cutting edge sound designers to create like the most frightening like flock of bird noises that you could, or most like unsettling flock of bird noises that you could.
Ken, since I knew that on my own, can I just start trivia with 1 point on the board already?
If it comes down to it, we can discuss it.
Just from pure intuition.
The sound engineer.
Yeah, that's right.
coming in with his knowledge.
Yeah. I had some notes I wrote down just because I had some just strong feelings when I was watching it. So the man that the Melanie character is pranking and ends up hunting down and ends up spending the rest of the movie with, his name Mitch.
Yeah.
Yes. And he every weekend goes to this bay with his mother and very young sister.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wanted to call out what the hell's going on with this family dynamic, because Mitch looks like he's 40. He has a sister who is literally, they say 11.
Yeah.
And then the mom doesn't look that much older than Mitch.
Jessica Tandy.
So Ken, I'm so glad you brought this up. Also, that Mitch talks to his mom and says like honey or sweetie or whatever. And it was like, you're not married. That's your mom.
Okay.
And you're talking like that.
Mitch the mama's boy.
Yeah.
Now knowing the stuff about Hitchcock, are they hinting that this is actually Mitch's daughter / daughter sister?
No, I don't think it quite goes that far, because because they mention the death of his father and that the mother is grieving the death of the father.
Yeah.
But I think there is,
we all grieve
like,
differently, though. You know,
some hornier than others.
But that there is like some weird like thing going on between mother and son. It's very like almost like an extension of Psycho, actually, if you think about it that way. This like very parasitic or symbiotic relationship between the mother and son, that she also prevents female suitors from getting too close to him, or that he feels like he can't like get closer to another woman because that would mean abandoning his mother, and that's all kind of there. Like it's subtext. It's all under the surface.
Really quick, can I toss out a trivia question? Because I felt the same way. Do you know how old that actor was when in 1963? Yeah.
No, I'm gonna guess.
What's your guess?
I was thinking 40, so I'll stick with 40.
Okay, Alex, do you know the answer?
I actually don't. No.
He's 33.
I was about to say, people, back then the age wore on your face a little bit more. Just like you just
that
looked.
guy is younger than us, and he looks like he could be my dad or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That was the years are tougher on those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's very.
I was about to say, I'm like, he looks 40, but the guy could reasonably be like, I don't know, 27 or something, because that's clear. Like they're clearly supposed to be like two people in their 20s. But then at the same time, you would have these old Hollywood stars that they would pair with like the younger women, and they would just like try to like, like your Cary Grants or your whatever, that like Cary Grant was 60 and was like, I'm a spry 30-year-old man. And it's like, no, you're not. You're like a grandpa. Speaking of especially like North by Northwest and stuff like that, which I will say is one of my favorite Hitchcock movies. Like Cary Grant looking a little old in that movie, but like kind of doesn't matter. He's another mama's boy, I think, in
there's something with this Hitchcock guy.
Huh. CJ, we need to probably have a Hitchcock month, I think.
Okay.
There you go.
Because I really want to rewatch Vertigo now.
That's
maybe one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's the one I keep hearing that like people have said, watch that one if you're going to watch any of them.
That's the Hitchcock telling on himself movie too, because it's all about a guy who is trying to shape a woman into his own image, like at her expense.
Interesting.
Excellent movie. My favorite's Rear Window. I think.
Ooh, excellent. Nice.
And those are both Jimmy Stewart ones that he did. He did a few others with him, but those are two of, I think, Jimmy Stewart's greatest performances. God, I love Rear Window.
Rear Window is excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, more of my notes. I just wrote down that the Mitch's mother is literally just Kate McKinnon with a wig. Did anyone think that she looked exactly like Kate McKinnon? I don't know. That's all I saw.
Jessica Tandy. That's Miss Daisy. If you ever saw Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh, I haven't, but okay, interesting.
That's what she's probably best known for now.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I thought she was kind of styled like Melanie at first. Like they have that kind of like hairstyle that was kind of like done up and back. And I was like, oh, okay, there's another parallel there. Maybe that's why Mitch likes Melanie.
Maybe. Interesting.
I was more about like, what's that school teacher about? Tell me more about her.
Yeah.
I was like, she's sultry. I want to learn more about her.
She's hot. Yeah. I want to know more about her too.
I'm more of a brunette guy. I don't know. But she also, there's that scene where they first see each other. And again, I hadn't seen the movie in so long and I couldn't remember. And she like kind of like sizes Melanie up. And I'm like, is there something kind of like maybe a little bit of a queer thing going on here?
Interesting.
But then, of course, you learn that she was like an old flame of Mitch's and that maybe she's like sizing up her competition or something like that.
Yeah.
Regardless, I'm on team school teacher.
Yeah. Unfortunate fate for the school teacher.
Ooh,
that was a real bummer.
Hero's death.
Seeing her. And it's unfortunate we didn't get to actually see her die. Or did we?
No. They just
you see the aftermath. That's
right.
it.
Okay.
And that the sister is in the house, and she was like, she got me in the house, but then she couldn't make it in. Also, the sister, played by Veronica Cartwright, which I didn't clock before, she kind of has like a kind of a long history of playing characters like that, almost like from the start. I think the two big ones in the late 70s are Alien and the Philip Kaufman Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I have. Who is she in Alien?
She's one of the crew members. She has these like big round doe eyes. I mean, she's an adult, obviously, in those movies, but she kind of does the same, like that kind of like dish-eyed like panic and terror like so well, just like kind of on through the years. And she had that 1-2 punch of Body Snatchers and Alien. She's one of the only other female crew members. Sounds like I need to rewatch Alien. Womp womp.
Alien month coming up.
Too bad. Perfect movie, Alien. My goodness.
CJ,
we're just only doing theme movies. No, I haven't.
Oh my god.
Just theme months from here on out.
That one's pretty scary. That one actually might be too scary for you. Okay, the only other note I had was that freaking song that they're singing during that scene where she is outside in front of the playground with all the ravens that we were talking about before the pros. It goes on for so long.
Yeah.
And what the hell is that song?
It was bizarre. Did not care for that.
Now.
A year, Ristlety, Rustlety, now. With every stroke she shed a tear. Ristlety, Rustlety, hey Johnny Dostlety, resting quality. Ristlety, Rustlety, now.
Higgledy, wiggledy.
Yes.
Yeah. Something.
Meg and I were just singing it to each other, like with just introducing like weird made up words into it. What the hell was that?
Higgledy, wiggledy, someone's a bubbledy, da. And then it always that last little bit where they're doing wibbledy wobbledy wiggledy, it goes on longer than you think it should.
They just keep adding an extra wibbledy wobbledy or whatever to it.
Well, there's no soundtrack. They had to have something.
That's the only song in the movie. It's the only like music, and it's diegetic music.
Did not care for it.
And it goes, and I think it's, I think that's also by design that song keeps going and going, because she's like the whole time she's like looking at the, she's eyeing the birds, and she's like, "This needs to end. This needs to end. I need to get these kids out of here."
Building that tension.
Let's go.
That's all I had for notes. Either you got anything you want to hit?
I just wanted to double check. So this CJ your first experience with Alfred Hitchcock? Period.
I think so. I was like scrolling through his IMDb while watching this movie, and I was like, nope, I haven't seen that.
Wow. Interesting.
This might be it.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds like we got to enroll you in Dr. Casper's class.
Yeah.
There's no way I could do a lecture and then 2 movies afterward. That's insane.
That's an incredible class, by the way. That's the format. How long were classes?
Yeah. This was a 2-hour movie.
They weren't all double features. That was like that would just happen sometimes, and it was usually paired with something like it would be. They would try not to put like 2 like very long ones together. I think at around that time and at this point in his career, he had the Alfred Hitchcock Presents, the TV show, that he would direct some episodes of. So sometimes it was just like, oh, here's like a 45-minute, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and then
were you like, oh, thank God?
Yeah. When it was an Alfred Hitchcock Presents in a movie, I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this. But it was like, they were, 4.5 hour,
Wow.
Because it'd be like a better part of like an hour, like a 45-50-minute lecture, a break, and then they start the movie or movies.
Nice. I'm scrolling through, and I've seen none of these, but I do love that he has a movie just called Murder! Exclamation point.
Yeah, exclamation point. That was one of his early sound movies. Pretty good one.
Would love to be in the marketing meeting for how they came up with that title.
There weren't that many movies about murder at that point in time. Like we're talking like late 20s, early 30s.
This was 1930, yeah.
Yeah, like that was pretty novel. What if there was a murder?
Was Alfred Hitchcock? Did he direct Dial M for Murder as well?
Yes, he did.
He did, right?
That's another really good one.
Yeah, I saw that in the Music Box in 3D last year. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was a 3D movie.
The old blue and red 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, I think it might be time for trivia. So it's time for.
Hey, did you know that?
That's right. It's Hey, did you know that? Our trivia portion of the show where we pit our guests and CJ head to head to see who knows the most about what we watched. Alex, CJ, are you two ready?
Caw!
Let go.
And because it's Bird Month, every single trivia session, we're going to be kicking it off with a bird-specific question related to the movie. So the specific bird that was featured the most in The Birds was lovebirds. So just a little bit of background about lovebirds. There are 9 species of lovebirds in the genus. They're all part of the parrot family, believe it or not.
Okay.
And they typically live between 10 and 12 years. They got their name from the parrot's strong pair bonding and long periods where they are, in which the paired birds spend sitting together. Very cute.
Fun fact, you can check out episode 397 when we covered the lovebirds.
That's right. Yeah, I missed opportunity for Bird Month. We already covered it, but not the best movie either, so that's okay. The trivia question, though, is all lovebirds hail from which continent?
South America.
Okay.
I'm going to guess... well, I got to guess something different. Let's make it interesting, right? I'm going to guess Africa.
Africa is correct.
Whoa!
They're all from different parts of Africa, but they're all from Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm learning things.
Finally on this show.
Yes. Oh man, the what are they? Ornithologists are so happy with this episode now. So
gonna get a big ornithologist bump on your listenership.
That's right.
We got to put Bird Month in the title of the episode to bring over some listeners.
There we go. Yeah,
those bird freaks.
I don't know. We'll already get the hit from the birds, but maybe for future ones, we'll definitely include that. All right, next question. This is interesting. How many birds were trained for this movie? According to Alfred Hitchcock during an interview. I don't know if this is totally accurate or not, but
I'm going to guess like
500.
400.
I went the other way. I'm going to guess nothing. They're all fake. None got trained.
They're all fake birds.
Yeah.
Okay. No, 400 is definitely closer, but according to Alfred Hitchcock, there were 3,200 birds in this movie.
But that were trained? They trained all 3,200?
I don't
Define
know.
trained.
Yeah, the train might be kind of loose, but
Trained as in we left some food out there and it was interested, so it stayed.
yeah, just wild birds just showed up because there were other birds around. And
Yeah.
Hitchcock was a famous self-promoter too. That's why, that's why we all know who he is too. He is very good at getting out there and getting people interested by saying stuff like that.
yeah, that might have been a bit of a wild claim, but either way, Alex, you get the point. You were closer. Okay, this next one is just whoever shouts out the correct answer first gets it. I actually did not catch this when I watched it, but Alfred Hitchcock is known for making cameos in most of his movies, if not all. I'm not sure. Where was his cameo in this one?
Very beginning, he walks the two dogs outside of the pet shop. I think it's like one of the
correct.
first shots of the movie.
That's correct. They were actually his two white terriers, Joffrey and Stanley.
Joffrey and Stanley.
Stanley, sure. Joffrey, yeah.
Do you know what Alfred Hitchcock looks like, CJ?
Yeah, I looked up because they didn't really have like trailers for movies back then, but you can look up the like quote unquote trailer for this is just 5 minutes of just him in a room with lovebirds in a cage talking. And then at one point he goes and puts his finger in the cage and it cuts to a different camera angle and bites his finger. And then it cuts back to the main one and he's like, ow, now why would they do that? It's like, setting up.
That's how he that was how he marketed his movies. He would be in the they did have like actual like they had trailers, things like that, like collections of scenes or whatever that would play before a movie, but he popularized this idea of I'm not going to show you the movie. I'm not going to show you anything. I'm going to tell you what it is. And I'm going to say it in this very tantalizing way.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go see it. And that was what he did with Psycho, where he's like, I cannot show you any of this footage. You must go see it for yourself. And the whole thing with Psycho too was that like back then culturally in the movie theater, like the idea was that like movies just ran. And you came in and out like whenever. You just like bought a ticket. You're like, I'm going into the movie theater and whatever's showing, I'm sitting down and I'm watching it, whether it's halfway through, maybe it's like a cartoon reel playing or something like that, newsreel footage, etc. But his big thing with Psycho was the movie starts and the doors close. Like you can't, and you got to show up on time. Like we're not letting anybody in because of the big Psycho twist in like the first like 30-40 minutes. And they're like and it also kind of popularized the don't spoil it, like don't tell anybody the big twist, don't tell anybody the whatever. And he would like that's how he would market it. He'd be like, Alfred Hitchcock says like show up to the movie and show up on time and don't tell anybody what happens. Like
he also called it a lecture. He's like, my next lecture is blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he was a cheeky guy. He was cheeky.
They should go back to that for trailers now.
I would love that. I don't want the movie spoiled. Just tell me about it.
Trailers.
Yeah,
nowadays.
I avoid it at all costs.
I already know I'm going to want to watch it if it's in a certain genre.
Yeah.
And I know the director or whatever, or it's produced by someone who produced something else or whatever the hell. But just talk to me about it. Do like a producer pitch for the movie.
Yeah.
Just like Alfred Hitchcock did. And
it should just be Mission Impossible should just be Tom Cruise like in a room. Or you know what? It's Tom Cruise like hanging off a plane or whatever, being like, come see my movie.
Yes.
I almost died making it. Like as he's like almost falling off this plane or whatever.
Yes.
I feel for that one, it could just be Tom Cruise and he just goes like, eh? And then it cuts. And then like that's the whole he's like, well, you know what this is about. I don't need to explain
I'm in
the movie.
it.
Like,
it's action.
Yeah,
he's
exactly. Like
you're gonna see me do some crazy shit.
Yeah,
and
my
then
mind's
just,
made up already. Yeah.
I'm sold. I'm sold every time, Tom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It does make me appreciate when we get a really good trailer, though, right? Like,
wouldn't know. Don't watch them.
Oh, you don't watch them, period.
Period. Only for this show when I edit the episode, I have to go and watch the thing we already saw.
I remember seeing a trailer last year for the first Omen,
Oh.
And it's this wonderful 1 minute trailer where it's just a bunch of clips from the movie without context, with some like moody music or whatever, and everything's going in reverse. Like it's all like, so it's not like you're seeing like technically like shots and scenes from the movie, but they're happening backwards.
That's cool.
And then you get a couple like little lines from the movie, like ominous lines or whatever, and then the first Omen. I remember seeing that trailer like sight unseen in a theater. I had no idea they were making an Omen prequel, and I have very little affinity for the Omen movies. I'd actually never seen any of them, and I remember just being like, that trailer rocked. They got me. And then I went to see it, and I was like, that was one of the better studio horror movies of last year, I think.
I agree. Yeah.
That movie kicked ass. So maybe Ken go back and look at that.
I got to find this trailer. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find it really easily, but it was just like a 1 minute teaser. It was so good. So it makes me appreciate when somebody can do something like that, where it's like, here's a true, just like a taste of what we're about.
As opposed to the literal spoiler reels that are most trailers nowadays.
Yeah.
Here's the best parts of the movie in a 1 minute clip. It's like, well, great.
Dude, I watched, what was it? Maybe Alex, you would know. It's like a ghost movie, but told. It's Steven Soderbergh.
Presence.
Presence. And I don't think this was necessarily in the trailer, but there was like an ad for it. And in the ad, it straight up spoils the ending.
Oh, no.
In the ad.
Oh, and that's a pretty solid ending.
Yeah, there's like one shot at the end that reveals what's going on, basically. And that's the shot in the freaking trailer, like this ad. And then I'm going into it, I'm like, oh, when is this coming? And then eventually I piece together like, oh, well, fuck, like that's what that is. And god damn it. So yeah, that's the kind of bullshit that we have to put up with now. And just have Alfred Hitchcock talk to me instead. And that'll be much better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next, we're still in trivia. In case
my
people
God.
forgot.
We got railed us.
Next question. How old was Tippi Hedren, who played Melanie Daniels, when this movie came out?
33.
I'm going to guess 28.
33 is exactly right. She claimed to be 28, though, so that's interesting.
Whoa.
Yeah.
This is what I was Googling in the movie, because I'm always, especially the older...
So then both of the actors...
are 33.
Were 33.
Oh,
they were the same age.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's very appropriate.
The mom was 54, I think.
Yeah. Tandy's
So
been
50.
around.
I'm always fascinated to know of like, especially the older movies of the male female of like, okay, she's supposed to be the mom. How much older is she? Is that actually realistic?
So the mom is 54, so she gave birth to this child when she was 43.
Oh, the younger sister? Yeah.
The younger sister. Is
That's doable.
It's possible.
Is that
yeah.
possible?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay.
100%.
All right. Moving on. True or false?
People are giving birth in their early 40s.
All right. All right. True or false? During the birthday party attack, in order to ensure that the seagulls could pop the balloons, pins were placed inside the birds' mouths, and their beaks were taped closed.
False, I hope.
That unfortunately sounds true.
It's true. It's unfortunately true. One of the seagulls escaped, and they had to like painstakingly hunt it down because it would have died because it couldn't eat because its mouth was taped shut.
Jeez Louise.
But can you just imagine, like, they literally had birds flying around with pins sticking out of their mouths.
That's
what
nuts.
the heck?
That's American Humane did not clearly was not monitoring sets at that point.
No. Or even just like for actor safety. I don't know. That seems dangerous. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question. This maybe just could have been a true or false question, but The Birds has a TV movie sequel that came out in 1994, believe it or not. What is it called? This is multiple choice. Is it A, The Birds 2, this one's for the birds? Is it B, The Birds 2, Land's End? Is it C, The Birds 2, Forevermore? Or is it D, The Birds 2, The Flappening?
I believe it's Land's End.
I like the Edgar Allan Poe one, the Forevermore.
Forevermore? Okay. It is Land's End. 'Cause of course, that's the most boring one. But
Yeah.
I have no idea what it's about. But oddly enough, I think it's said that Tippi Hedren shows up in it,
She does.
but
She
playing
does
a
appear in
different
it.
character for some reason.
Yeah.
That's
All I know is that she does appear in it.
okay.
Yeah.
Strange. All right. Final question. What is the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter score in percentage? Closest without going over. Alex, you're way in the lead, so you're going to go first to give CJ the edge.
I don't appreciate that tone.
It's a critic score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Critics score on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm going to guess 93%.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good guess. I'm going to say $1, Bob.
Wrong direction. It was 94%.
Oh, wow.
You could have got it exactly right. But Alex, you are by far the winner. Congratulations. Audience score was 83% and Letterboxd was 3.8, which is huge for Letterboxd.
Pretty good. Yeah. Didn't quite break the 4, but
No,
not a lot do.
That's hard. That's hard to do on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, I think that takes us to our ratings then.
You've heard us debating. We know you've been waiting. So now it's time to hear our ratings.
Alex, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate The Birds for you?
So I think what I just described is still kind of how I feel about the movie in general. That I there's a lot that I appreciate about it, and there's a lot I think it's like really grown in my estimation since I last watched it. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older or something, but I still don't. It still doesn't like quite get to that realm of like my favorite Hitchcocks, and I feel like I like appreciate this a lot more than I like openly like embrace it. That brings me around to saying I'm going to give it a 7. 7.
Okay.
That feels good.
Okay.
It's like I like, but I don't love.
Yeah.
There's a lot to enjoy, and it's clearly very impeccably made, especially for its time.
Impeccably made.
There it is.
Ooh, there we
12 more.
go. I
Okay.
keep leaving those on the table, man.
CJ, what would you rate this movie?
For me, my one note that I wrote down was action doesn't happen for an hour and a half in the 2-hour-long movie. Way too slow for me. It's weird to get to that point and then realize all of these people are strangers still. They've known each other for like a day, and we've built them up. We've taken an hour and a half of the movie to put in the exposition so that you know who these people are, and we still don't. We barely know who they are. The relationships are new, but the last half hour, pretty good. That's where it turns. Pretty enjoyable, especially when they're really cooking with gas and the town blows up. I liked that. That really escalated. But overall, it ends on kind of a weird note, but the last shot is very cool. I will say that. It is. I get us like not knowing really why any of it happened or anything like that. In the last shot, it just looks beautiful. But I think overall, a lot of this was boring to me. So I'm going to give it like a 5.5.
Okay.
Ken.
Yeah. If we ever do, which is a thing that birds do, if we
Not
ever
counting that
do
one.
a Alfred Hitchcock month, yeah, I'm a little worried about how you would handle some of these other movies, but I think others are maybe paced a little better than this one.
Yeah, this one I think again, like those silences and those stretches are like they're intentional and not always, I think, indicative of a lot of his movies. A lot of his movies I think are quite tightly plotted, actually. Not a whole lot of like they're not exactly action packed, but there's a little bit more intrigue, there's a lot more dialogue. There's also I think they're the inventors of like the modern thriller.
Yeah.
So I have faith, Ken.
Yeah.
True. And
This
a
isn't
lot
the
of them
first
are
Hitchcock movie I would show people.
true. Yeah. So maybe this wasn't the best place to start. And yeah, a lot of his other movies are just thrillers, right? So there isn't even necessarily like a horror aspect to them. They're
No.
just
Yeah.
something interesting is going on.
Yeah,
So
it's more just did that guy kill somebody? Let's investigate. It's a lot of that.
Really, really fast. I forgot to mention. I feel vindicated too because friends of the show and my family, Eric and Carissa, on their own, basically did a Hitchcock month, and they also were like, The Birds were our least favorite. We did not care for that movie. And I was like, okay, cool. I was talking with Carissa about it, and we were both like, yeah, barely anything happens until the end, and yeah, I felt it felt good to know I wasn't the only one that thought that.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. For me, I have seen other Alfred Hitchcock works, and I don't know. I guess this is not what I was expecting from The Birds. I have been purposely holding off on watching The Birds because I really wanted to watch it in a theater for the first time, and that opportunity has just never arisen. So, finally crossing it off my list. But yeah, just not what I expected. Especially like an hour into the movie, I was like, man, I thought there would be more bird attacks. But I mean, we eventually get some pretty good bird attacks, but
you get more
some
birds
very
than
creepy.
You can handle in that thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, apparently 3,200 of them at some point.
No way.
Sure. I don't know. I did oddly like it overall, and I enjoyed it. Other than the pacing, there are just some moments that I'm sure they were intentional, didn't quite work for me. So I'm going to give it like I don't know, like a 6 for me, maybe. It's definitely not one of my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movies, but I didn't have a bad time watching it. So yeah, 6.
Well, if you do a Hitchcock month, I could help you design it. I could give you ones from like different parts of his career too, where it's like, you could do like the 4 like kind of like Mount Rushmore ones, but it's almost like, grab one of these like early British ones, like they're kind of fun, like, and some of these other and there's a lot of really fun. Some of them are more funny, like some of them have a little bit more action in them. Like North by Northwest is basically almost a James Bond movie. Like he came up with like the model of the modern espionage movie with that movie, which is another one of my favorites.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm more than happy to watch more of his movies. This isn't like I'm like this guy sucks. This movie is so like I definitely
I don't know what the big deal is with this Hitchcock guy. I don't know what the fuss is.
Yeah. No, he's clearly like a genius of his time and stuff, but yeah.
But it's a weird one, and it was in a period of his time of his career where he was also kind of trying new things and trying not to be like as stale and trying to do things that were more like straight horror. I think it's almost like a more interesting movie into what like begets it. Like it was almost like this idea of like these like 50s science fiction-y, like a giant ant movie or like nature attacking people kind of thing, kind of dressing it up into like what they would call like an A picture, like something a little bit more prestigious, almost like kind of pushing those like kind of B genres into like the mainstream that then I think folks like Spielberg like took and ran with Jaws. I think it's like weirdly a bridge between those kinds of movies. So it's almost more of like an important movie for what position it holds than like for what it's actually doing sometimes.
Interesting.
And that's what I have to say about that.
All right. Well, thank you, Alex, so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, for especially unbeknownst to us, you having all of the Alfred Hitchcock background.
Yeah.
Very, very helpful. Do you have anything you want to plug at the end here?
Not really. I don't know.
Any words of wisdom? Anything?
If you're ever in the Avondale neighborhood of Chicago, get a breakfast sandwich at Loaf Lounge. That's my big obsession.
I endorse that as well.
feel like Loaf Lounge is a little underrated.
It's so good.
Everybody wants to make their big hour-long lines at Kasama or something, but I'm like, I don't know. Loaf Lounge is my favorite breakfast sandwich in the city. That's what I want to plug.
Love it.
Now there's going to be hour-long lines.
Yeah.
I think you just messed up.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's my opinion.
But don't too many people go. It's my place.
Right. Well, thank you again.
Yes, of course. Anytime you want to have me come and blab about a movie,
Well, thank you again, CJ. What do we have to plug?
You can follow us on all the things at Overtalking Pod. Call our Texas show at USACat1591. Email us at overtalkingpod@gmail.com or go to our website, overtalkingpod.party.
And, oh no, they're here. The bit that we are still doing, 150 episodes into it, or however, no, more than that. 200? A lot. The Overtalking Overlords. There are ghastly otherworldly landlords who show up at the end of every episode to remind you, if you like the show, please go on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and rate and review where applicable. Reviews are what help people find this podcast. Also, we spend no money in advertising. So if you like the show, please tell a friend and spread the word. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And they've split into 50 crows each and have flown out the window.
3,200 birds.
That's right. You do the math. All right. Well, Alex, thank you again. And tune in next week for another bird-related movie for Bird Month.
Bird Month.
It's the end of the world.
Hell yeah.
Bye.
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 Caw-caw! This episode of the Overtalking Podcast was produced by Ken and CJ, edited by CJ. This week's special guest was Alex Vasquez. Music by Justin Peters. Be sure to rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And tune in next week to hear the boys talk about Howard the Duck. See you next week. Caw-caw!